The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, has upgraded its global GDP growth forecast for 2024 and 2025 as major central banks are set to begin long-awaited interest rate cuts. According to May's economic outlook, the global economy is projected to keep up with the 3.1% growth rate reported last year before picking up slightly to 3.2% next year. This upgrades the OECD's previous forecast in February for 2.9% this year and 3% in 2025. India is expected to remain the fastest growing economy among major G20 countries for the next 2 years, followed by Indonesia, China and Turkey. The OECD has upgraded the South Asian country's GDP growth forecast to 6.6% for 2024, thanks to strong domestic consumption and capital expenditure. Developed economies are likely to lag significantly behind developing nations as high interest rates continue to weigh on economic activity. The Eurozone is expected to see a growth of only 0.7% this year, while the US economy is forecast to expand 2.6% before losing steam in 2025. Argentina and Saudi Arabia will be the only G20 countries whose economies will contract in 2024. The South American country's GDP is expected to shrink 3.3% this year, the second annual contraction, as President Javier Milei drives through his free market reform package. And Saudi Arabia's economy is forecast to contract 0.2% in 2024, as a decline in oil activities continues to hurt overall growth. Meanwhile, the OECD said inflation is on track to cool to the rates targeted by major central banks, paving the way for cuts in borrowing costs later this year. But the agency has warned that the brighter outlook for the global economy would be disrupted by an escalation of the conflict in the Middle East, which could disrupt energy and financial markets. For more on this, Raghav Gupta joins us now from Bengaluru, India. He is FutureEnd's co-founder and CEO. Pleasure having you on the program with us. So, first of all, India has very positive numbers and growth. What is the country doing right, and what has been driving this growth?
There are two ways to understand this growth. First is the government policy. So what you will see is in the last 10-15 years, the Indian government as a whole has had a very big digitization push. What this has done is that it has made most of the economy formalized. And with a formalized economy, the tax collection of the government has gone through the roof. Now with a higher tax collection, government has more money to invest back in the economy. That's why you see so much expenditure on physical infrastructure. You see so much on capital expenditure happening. Because of this capital expenditure, a lot of money has come in circulation in the economy, as we have seen. Parallelly, the second thing that is going right for the country right now is the demographic dividend. Till now, the Indian middle class was about 15 to 20% of the population. That number is coming to about 45 to 50% in the next 7 to 10 years, which is driving a lot of private consumption. India as a country which is consuming more westernized content is becoming more aspirational. That's why you're seeing more and more private consumption happening. So two major reasons. One, government policy around digitization made more tax revenue, which in turn built more capital expenditure. And number two, more aggressive private consumption due to a more growing middle class.
Very interesting on the digital push front as well. And I do want to ask you a question on Argentina and Saudi Arabia. These two economies will contract. And Argentina, somewhat not surprisingly, obviously we've seen the inflation rate. But Saudi Arabia, though, does this stem from a decline in oil activities only? Because the country does have very ambitious projects right now. What's happening?
So right now, all of the ambitious projects that Saudi has, they are, I will not use the word shooting in the dark, but they are looking at a more alien territory as opposed to oil. That's why you will see a lot of these ambitious projects will take time to show results. The people who are handling the sovereign wealth in Saudi, they are smart people. These guys know what they're doing, but the markets, the public at large might not understand because the numbers are not showing right now.
Right.
So I think they are planning, they're looking at a short-term hit for a long-term benefit. So I think the shift of economy from oil to more on the lines of data, on technology, on smart cities, on energy is something that will play long-term dividends. Short-term, you will see a hit.
Interesting. The short term isn't really clear yet. Raghav Gupta, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.